Please remember that information and advice provided on this podcast is based off my personal experiences as a young girl with ADHD. Although I do analyze, mention, and cite valid peer-reviewed sources, my podcast is not a replacement for professional medical advice. If you have concerns or questions regarding your own amazing brain and mental health, please talk to a medical provider. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which I speak to my listeners today, the peoples of the Kulin Nation. I also pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. This episode of the Lucy Pod features heavy adult themes. It is an in-depth discussion about the negative impacts of a late ADHD diagnosis. Things such as anxiety, depression, suicide, and drug use will be discussed at length in this episode. If you're not in the mood to listen to this, please listen to another episode of the Lucy Pod. If you are struggling with anything that is discussed in this episode, please look at the description below where there are resources to help you, such as Lifeline, Beyond Blue, and the ADHD Foundation. Haiti and Afghanistan are still in trouble, and the situation is tragic. Please do not forget to donate or share the donation links that are in my description. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Lucy Pod. I hope that you are all doing okay and surviving this crazy lockdown. Today's episode of the Lucy Pod is going to be a two-parter, so stay tuned for part 2. It will be coming out very shortly. So today's episode, it's going to be heavy, but it's going to be a really important conversation with someone really special. We're going to talk about ADHD and late diagnosis and how this heavily impacts someone's life. The Lucy Pod is a positive place where I talk about viewing ADHD as a superpower, and I'm here to empower people. However, I cannot forget that not everyone has had these wonderful experiences. Maybe the reason that I am so positive is because I was diagnosed early. My life and my mental health would have been very different if I was diagnosed late. People who are diagnosed late with ADHD have a completely different experience, and one that is incredibly negative and difficult. Today, I'm going to be talking to my dear friend Jasmine, who was recently diagnosed with ADHD and who recently shared her story discussing her struggles with depression, addiction, and anxiety. Also, please do not forget to follow the Lucy Pod wherever you are listening. If you are listening on Spotify, please do not forget to click the follow button. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, do not forget to give me a 5-star review. And of course, follow me if you're listening on Amazon Music or Google Podcasts. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at The Lucy Pod. Recording, yes, we are live. All right, so I want to first of all insert a massive round of applause for my friend Jasmine, an incredibly intelligent and eloquent young woman who I went to school with and who is a very talented drawer, and she's modest about being a good pianist. She loves boogie on the dance floor, and she's known for taking incredibly good selfies on Instagram and has amazing makeup skills and is a self-proclaimed uncolor coordinated person. We used to hate each other in high school, funnily enough, but we're friends now. We love each other. So hello,
cool.
Jazzy Minion. I shouldn't call you that. You hate that. Hello, Jasmine. Welcome to the Welcome to the Lucy Pod. I want to thank you again for being on the podcast and wanting to talk about some difficult things, but I think it's going to be a really invaluable and important insight into the world of ADHD, and we're basically going to talk about how being diagnosed late has impacted your life. And I've got a bunch of questions and such, and I'm sure more will come up as we keep talking. So Jasmine, tell us about yourself, tell us about your interests and your current lockdown hobby. Talk to us.
Alrighty, I damn well will talk to you. So I'm Jasmine, I am 20 years old, and I have ADHD, needless to say. I was diagnosed only in March this year, so I was took me a little while to for the light bulb moment to happen for me. So just about myself, I like to play tennis. I was doing a degree, but I've had to defer it for 6 months for reasons relating to ADHD. Yeah. I work part-time at an Italian restaurant currently, and I'm going to be picking up another job very soon, which is exciting.
That's so good.
Yes. And current lockdown hobby I would say would be binging literally anything on Netflix that even sparks the tiniest bit of interest. We're at that point. Let's be real.
Literally same.
Well, I love that. So, my first really main question, you've already answered it, was when were you diagnosed? So I think the next one would be what led you to be diagnosed? What was the light bulb moment that made you get diagnosed with ADHD?
In my case, it's funny, really. It's not funny. It's kind of infuriating, I guess. But I've actually suspected this since I was about 13. Like when I first sort of understood what this disorder was. When I first learned about it. But for the longest time, for like literally 7 years, I kind of just brushed it off as like, you know what, you're just looking for a mental illness to blame on your laziness. And just your inability to complete tasks, basically. I just thought, like, you're a normal person. You're just kind of grasping at straws here.
Yeah.
Just get your act together and just let it go.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, it kind of resurfaced as a possibility in more recent years because like the symptoms, needless to say, impact literally every single area and aspect of an ADHD person's life.
Yep.
For example, like I have lost about 4 jobs in the space of 2 years.
Wow.
All for the same reasons. It was just a matter of like lack of disorganization, distractibility, forgetfulness, just the major aspect of ADHD,
of course,
when it's undiagnosed and unmedicated, can really interfere with things like that, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That's intense. That's really tough. And workplaces are not very, like, understanding.
They're not.
Of that stuff.
Where I'm at now is very understanding, and I'm endlessly appreciative of that.
Yeah.
I would think it's safe to say that, a lot of workplaces don't fully comprehend how it affects a worker's ability to do their job.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
No, I agree. I love my 2 jobs. No, I love my 2 jobs, and no shade to them, but if I wasn't sort of in my temperament and my abilities, I can understand how my job could be hard for someone who's ADHD. And even though the job in itself are not difficult, like we're not doing complex jobs, like we're not engineers or whatever, but I can see the way that they're set up, it's really hard for ADHDers. Like, you have to memorize things, you have to talk to people while doing other things. They have to give you orders. You have to also, like, if you've got bad motor skills, you got to use your hands. Like one of my jobs involves a lot of weighing and a lot of numbers, giving change. And I've had to learn to just kind of be like, you got to do it. You got to learn loose. Like, you got to do it. But it's really hard because ADHDers suck at that. Like, we don't suck at it, but we're not that good at it. And that's not the workplace's fault. But if you see that the employee is struggling, I think last resort, you fire them. But I think the first step would be like, is there anything we can do to make it easier for you?
Yeah,
do you need someone
exactly.
else?
Like, that sounds a bit nuclear, but like that's the thing. Like, I'd use somewhere I worked 2019 and last year as an example. Like, I got branded as scatterbrained and a dumbass, basically.
That's horrible.
Yeah, no, just because, like, this was pre-diagnosis, but just because of my disorganization and my forgetfulness and, hospitality, you're absolutely right. Like, that, like, these kinds of jobs rely very heavily upon, skills that are impeded because of ADHD symptoms. So, yeah, it's no one's fault per se. Like, it's frustrating for everyone involved. But, the answer to it isn't necessarily like, reprimanding the person needlessly or just treating them like they're not trying, because we absolutely are.
Of course we are. We try even more. People don't realize ADHDers are actual perfectionists. People think that because we're somehow disorganized that we don't care, that we're lazy, but we actually have a crippling sense of perfectionism that we can't achieve because we're constantly distracted. So it's actually a lie. We're not lazy at all. And also, some people are ADHD and lazy because they're just lazy. Not because of their ADHD. They're just lazy. Like, I'm just lazy. It's got nothing to do with me being ADHD. I'm just lazy at times. That's it. Yeah. It's got nothing to do with it.
There's a crucial difference, like, I'd say, like personally between laziness and executive dysfunction because
Absolutely.
like as what you were talking about, the perfectionism, that's absolutely there, I find. But it's just the natural lack of dopamine, like getting scientific in the person's brain, which is what motivates them to actually get a task done.
Yeah.
Like there's a deficiency of that. So it's actually a scientific reasoning
Basis. It's
behind
true.
why we struggle to complete certain tasks.
Yeah, it's not because we don't want to. People think we just can't do tasks. It's like, no, we don't want to do things that don't interest us, because I can very
Exactly.
well focus on a task that interests me. My podcast, for example, this is something that
Exactly.
I never lose concentration on because I enjoy it. I will never lose concentration on, writing stories. But if it comes to like, me having to maybe do a research paper, I'm not focused. I don't want to do it. I can't do it.
Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
there's no impact for me. There's no enjoyment that I get out of it. It's got nothing to do with me being fussy or like, oh, I can't pay attention. It's hard. And my attention's
Actually,
different.
it is
Yeah.
because the motivational factors of a neurotypical person versus an ADHD person are pretty vastly different.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just, it's actually, the mental block that exists in a person's mind who has ADHD to do something that they don't enjoy is like really, it's like,
So
I'd
hard.
say fourfold like difficult to
It's
overcome.
so
It's
bad. And I used to get told
really,
a lot in primary school, like, Lucy really gives up when things are difficult. And that's
yes,
true.
join the club.
And of course, that is
Always.
true. And there are some things that I, as an ADHDer, have had to learn to do. You can't be a 5-year-old forever and be like, I don't like it, I don't want to do it. But they made it sound as if it was like a petty refusal, but it was like, not only do I not want to do this, but I can't. And they would say to me, Lucy, have a bit of grit. Have some
They
grit.
don't understand.
And it's
because they
like,
don't
I
understand.
wish I had grit to do this math, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, miss. I don't have the grit for it. But yeah,
I know, yeah. Do you know if Woolies has any? On sale anywhere? Please help me out here.
Please.
If only.
It's
If
so
only.
true though. So I was gonna ask you, what was your diagnostic process like? Was it difficult? Was it expensive? What was it like? How was that? How did you do it?
So my diagnosis process was a little bit more tedious than the average person's, as I've been told, because I actually had to get the opinions of 2 psychiatrists instead of just the one, and just having the one appointment. I honestly didn't struggle that much getting a psychiatrist, which I know is, very different from what a lot of other people with ADHD or otherwise neurodiverse would say. But yeah, I was lucky in that sense, but they are very expensive and they aren't covered by private health insurance.
They are
It's
not.
just Medicare. So there is also that obstacle there for people who perhaps don't have the room in their budget to get diagnosed or seek mental professional help. But anyways, back to me. Sorry.
No, you're all good. This is the Lucy Pod. We go on tangents.
Yes, this is a prime example.
This is what we want. Go on.
Oh yeah, and we're back. Okay, no problem. So yes, I had to go through to psychiatrists because, as I was told, I was open about the fact that I use recreational drugs. So considering like Ritalin, which is what I've been told the first line of defense against with ADHD, like that's the first thing that they'll probably suggest. Yeah, that's a Schedule 8 drug, so like that's
pretty
probably
serious.
one of the highest. Yeah.
It's speed. People don't realize it's speed. It's literally speed that you're taking.
It's literally speed.
Yep.
It's speed. I'm on speed right now.
Yeah, literally. I'm on speed as well, but obviously with us, it's not us just abusing drugs. It's a treatment that doesn't impact us. But yeah, it's speed. It's high class speed. It's medicinal speed.
Literally, it's TGA approved speed. Like, I mean, oh my God, I could go on for hours about like the difference that it has on normal people as opposed to people like us. But anyways, no, I won't get into that. I feel like the audience gets the gist.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, like the psychiatrists were a little bit apprehensive about my prescriptions, purely just due to the fact that it can have certain interactions with recreational drugs, especially stimulants. But yeah, like the thing is, recreational drug use is realistically a personal choice. Like I'm not going to encourage it or talk down about it, but it's just a matter of like whether a person's I suppose more prone to mixing it with recreational drugs
Yeah,
that
I
will
think people need to
have
realize
adverse
that.
effects.
Like I'm very pro, choice, and I think that, I have a lot of opinions on, medicinal marijuana and all of that, which we won't get into. But I think the one thing, I would never shame people for using drugs, but I think if people have, mental health conditions and they're abusing or using recreational drugs and they're taking stimulants, they need to rethink, because it can be very dangerous.
Oh
Some
yeah,
people are super resilient to stimulants and to drugs and using those, and that's great. But I think people don't realize that, like, mixing drugs and then a Schedule 8 medicine with mental health issues, ADHD, and like all of that, it might not end well. Like,
yeah, no, that's pretty safe to say. I reckon.
it won't end well, and it makes sense why the psychiatrists were hesitant, because they have a duty of care, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at them per se. Like,
No.
obviously, there's an element of frustration
Of course.
on my end, because I was open enough to share that with them, but yeah, I mean, in several ways, that apprehension has kind of interfered with my accessibility to my medication. But on the other hand, like, they're the medical professional, and their primary duty, of course, is ensuring that
You're okay.
their patient doesn't have an adverse reaction to something that they prescribe you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if something does, it's on their hands. So, I mean, I'm very understanding on that front.
Yeah, but it makes it hard. Like, that they're trying to do the right thing, but then it's like, also, I need help. So it's a double-edged sword.
It is exactly. I was just about to say it's a rough situation.
Yeah.
But what do you do?
What do you do? So with the psychiatrist, so you got opinions from them. What was your testing like? Because I got tested when I was like 13. So I think my tests were a little different. I had to, like, repeat words back. I had to memorize pictures. Yeah, my testing, it happened over a period of like 2 or 4 weeks, and it was like an hour a day. And it was so exhausting. Like, that was the first sign that I was ADHD, because I found the testing so exhausting. I found it so tiring. Like, if you read my report from the neuropsychologist, it's, Lucy was really fatigued after the lessons. And like, an hour realistically isn't that long. But for me, like an ADHD, it was exhausting.
For someone to concentrate on something that's not as exciting per se for a whole hour, then yeah, I mean, that can definitely be exhausting.
It was exhausting. And I didn't know where the tests were going. Like, I didn't know what the test, and I think that's the whole point, that the test she was making me do, she didn't tell me why, so it wouldn't impact how I responded. So I did those tests. What tests did you have to do? Was it different for you? Did you have to do like a questionnaire? What did you have?
Oh my God, that's insane. I've never heard of ADHD testing being that strenuous and so dragged out. Like, mine was so much different, and so like, that would be the same said by other people I know who've recently been diagnosed.
Yeah.
Like, I just filled out like it was like a questionnaire, but it was like one of those things that ask questions, and it had like an always, sometimes, rarely, never.
Yeah. The scale.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. My teachers had to do that one, and my parents had to do it based on me, but I had to do like the testing. I was like the lab rat. So you just had to answer a questionnaire. That sounds really easy, answering a questionnaire.
Yeah, it is. I'm actually shocked at how, like, long and dragged out that your process was.
Yeah, it was long and expensive. It was really expensive. I think on one of the episodes I did with my mum, she said how much it cost. I can't remember, and I don't want to throw out the number there, but it was like a lot of money. Like, as much as maybe people spend on their braces and like getting their kids' teeth fixed.
Yeah,
like, it was expensive.
Like, same, man. Honestly, that kind of that really frustrates me in a sense, because it's like ADHD has, like, over the years proven to be
real,
quite common, and it's like, it just makes me wonder how many people could have it and they're unable to seek a professional advice because
it's too hard,
because of the price.
It's too
like,
difficult.
I mean, I'm just lucky, and I'm very grateful that I was in a position to be able to do it, but that's not for everyone.
No, it's not. And some people even have the means to do it, but their parents don't want to. Like, there are a lot of people in my life who have, who are very, very, like, you know, privileged and able to afford it, but their parents are in denial. Like, their parents really believe, like, no, she just needs therapy, or they just need therapy, they'll be right. And it's like, no, your kid needs to get formally assessed and they need to be medicated. Like, they
Yes.
have to be. And
Oh,
I'm not a doctor, and obviously, like, I would never say to, like, someone, you should be medicated, but you look at some of those ADHDs and
no,
you're
but
like,
you're right.
and you're
You're
like,
right.
get fixed. Not get fixed, but get help. Like, you need help. And your parents, who can afford it, for starters, are
That's
refusing.
awful.
Like,
That
she's
is awful.
fine. She's
Seriously,
just,
the parents, like, if that kid, like, I don't, like, I'd assume you're using, like, so, yeah, you said you're using somebody you know as an
yeah,
example,
yeah,
but oh my God, whoever that person is, I feel so deeply sorry
sorry.
for, because,
Yeah.
like, even me just being diagnosed at age 20,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's come with, you know, a huge set of problems for me, which,
Yeah.
you know, which I have to work through. But Jesus, like, for a kid to actually be self-aware and, you know, actively try to go and get diagnosed and get the help that they need, and be roadblocks
Denied.
that by their parents, like,
It's really a
that's
worry. And they're
honestly just, that's a recipe for a
stuff.
whole lot of, you know, mental health problems.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you know, like, it's pretty common with ADHD people without their diagnosis and treatment to
Have anxiety, depression.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, anxiety, depression, substance use slash abuse.
Yep.
That's pretty common, just almost just as a coping mechanism for some people. But that is so, so
It
harmful.
is so harmful, and she's such a risk taker, like, engaging in the most dangerous acts. And, you know, I'm not an impulsive ADHD person in terms of, like, actions. I'm too scared to do certain things, so I'm more of verbally impulsive. I'll say things without thinking, but she would just say and do things that I would have to, like, say to her, hey,
Yeah, I'm like that
did you
too.
do that? Like, she did something really dumb. I'm not gonna say what it is because then it'll be specific about it. I'll tell you after, like, when we're not recording. But, you know, they did
Yeah.
this thing, and I had to, like, hold them for a second, go, did you really do that? And, like, she had this grin on her face, and she's like, so what? And I'm like, you are so, like, Darl, you need to get help. That's, like, dangerous behavior that you don't need to be doing. And your parents letting you kind of, oh, well, you know, she's old enough. No, she's 16. You know, letting her do all
She's
these
only
random things.
16.
She was only 16 at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Oh my God.
things that shouldn't be done by 16-year-olds. The acts and things that shouldn't really be happening to 16-year-olds, that could have drastic impacts. But
That is awful.
I know it is. But I was going to ask you another question. It was, you kind of already started on it, but it's, how has being diagnosed late impacted you? What's it done? What's it done to you?
You know, this is something that I very frequently catch myself often daydreaming about, or just falling down the rabbit hole of thought. You know, what could have been different? You know, would I be in the same place that I am now,
Yeah.
or anything like that? Really, I mean, it's literally affected every single aspect of my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think back to the time when I was 13 and I just learned about it and first suspected it, and I just think, why didn't you do anything, you stupid 12-year?
Yeah, but you weren't to know.
Yeah,
You weren't
yeah,
to know. Like,
yeah.
so
I mean,
it's,
to be fair, I was still,
you
I
were a
suppose,
child.
a child.
You were a
Yeah,
child.
yeah.
You were not fully developed. We still aren't fully developed. You were, yeah.
Oh no.
Do you feel as if
no, long way to go on that
a
front.
long way to go? Do you think that it has impacted you in the sense, like, do you feel like you missed out on things? Like, do you
Oh
look
my
and go,
gosh.
I've,
I don't
you
I
know?
don't think that I missed out on things per se, but I just think it's kind of led me down a road that I didn't necessarily need to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, since I left school in 2018, you know, I've had, I suppose, revolving bouts of anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some, like, certain events in my life sort of, I suppose, amplifying one or the
Yeah.
other. But yeah, it's just, I suppose, the preconceived notion in my head that I'm just naturally lazy, or I'm dumber than the average person, or, you know, like, that's a perfect fuel for, you know, a person with anxiety, because it can lead to all these other,
Ish.
you know, catastrophic, overblown, unrealistic thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's also had a massive effect on my self-confidence, as it does on a lot of ADHD people, as I've discovered. You know, because you go through life just thinking, you know, you're just I suppose,
Stupid.
just the bar is set at a certain standard for, I suppose, human function, and you're beneath that, I guess, is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
Like that, obviously that contributes to the anxiety depression side of the coin. But another thing that I think specific to me and is common with a lot of ADHDers is just their tendency to engage in, I suppose, aspects of life that can turn into an addiction. That be not for me personally, but like gambling, alcohol, sex. For me personally, it was substance use. Specifically downers. Because I mean, any stimulant, I guess. Like, I mean, I'm like ADHD people are already very energetic and up and awake. You know, it's like
we're bouncing off the wall.
Literally, like that's realistically the last thing we need. But I mean, for me, like, I had started to experiment with benzodiazepines, which are strong sedatives.
Right. Are they for sleep? They're for sleep.
For sleep. Which is an ongoing issue for me because I'm just like my body just seems to hate switching off and going to sleep for some reason. It's like I'm having to lay in bed for hours, sometimes until the sun comes up. So, I mean, the attraction for me to that was just too much. And, you know, I went down that road, I came back out, but what can I say? Builds character.
Builds character. I was going to say, do you think if you'd been diagnosed earlier, do you think that you might have still had issues with anxiety and depression and addiction, or do you think that being diagnosed early would have curtailed that? Like that would have helped it? Or do you think it's a predisposed thing with your type of ADHD that it just came with having anxiety and like an addictive behavior?
That is a really good question. Like, I mean, obviously we'll never know, but like, you know, if you just take away the element of undiagnosed ADHD, like, I mean, I'd have to consider all the other events and experiences that I've encountered in my life. I mean, I'm like, it's absolutely a possibility with certain things that I can think of. You know, just working in the aforementioned job that was just awful. I can imagine that would definitely have had an impact regardless. I mean, I dare say, like, a lot of the stuff that I've experienced could have still happened had I been diagnosed. But I guess just not to the same extent.
And there wouldn't been that other layer of like not knowing why it's so difficult. You would have been like, okay, well, at least I know that yes, these events might have impacted me, but it's also the fact that, you know, I'm ADHD, so it's not, I'm not mad. Like I'm not.
Yeah, that's the key thing here. Like, I mean, just having the self-awareness just to realize maybe you're not just dumb and lazy and you'll never amount to anything. It's just you have ADHD, your brain is just built different to everyone else's. Not everybody understands or appreciates that. And they're just, you know, they're just having a go at you because that's just how they are, or for whatever reason, realistically. But I mean, I'd definitely say it would be a huge advantage in just not letting things get to you, just being able to understand why you operate the way you operate and just, you know,
knowing,
making peace with it and just, I suppose, trying to counter that as best as you can without setting unrealistic expectations.
Definitely. And do you think, like, with the addictive behaviors that you engaged in, do you think that they were amplified? Like, did you have people egging you on? Or did you just like, nah, I didn't need to be egged on? And that's not to say that, you know, because people egged you on that it's their fault. You know, we're adults and, you know, we have to take responsibility. But were there people around you who either egged you on or observed you and said nothing, or just like, that's just like Jasmine. Like Jasmine does that stuff. Like what were the dynamics with the people in your life?
I mean, honestly, like I think before it like really like obviously became a problem to everyone. Well, not just to everyone. It was realistically like my parents that kind of called it out when it started to get bad. And then, but honestly, like I wouldn't have told anyone realistically like how far down I was at any given point. Like I'd kind of I don't know, it would just be just a passing comment in a conversation really, because I mean, I wouldn't think myself that it had become a problem because there's that element of denial, I guess.
And invincibility.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can do
especially
anything.
that. Yes. But I don't know. Like, I just kind of, if it ever came up in conversation, it wouldn't be conveyed in a way that the other party would see it as
Alarming.
as a really bad concern. Yeah, as alarming. Yeah.
You'd hope, because you'd hope that if people saw it was alarming, they would say something. You'd really hope so.
Mm-hmm.
You'd really.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd say the people in my life, my friends and family, like if they thought that something was alarming, that they would speak up.
Yeah, of course.
Which is great, you know. Like it
what
just
you
means
want.
that like they care enough about you to be able to stand up and, I suppose, just start the conversation.
Of course. And I was going to ask something else, which you're already touching on a lot of them, but I was going to say, like, do you think it is a relief that you're diagnosed now, or is it just kind of too late and the work now is too hard? Like, yeah, you're glad you're diagnosed, but does it make a difference for you, or do you feel as if it's added extra work on top of being ADHD?
I honestly feel like I'm still, you know, at this current point in time figuring that out. Like, you know, of course I can reminisce on like how good it would have been for me to be diagnosed as a kid, but like, you know, that's not the case. You know, we're already here now. It's like, yes, I've got my diagnosis. Yes, it was about like 13 odd years. 13? No, 7 odd years later. However long, I guess.
You do the math.
Yeah, no, maths and me aren't very good friends.
So you think, yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it's just I find the biggest thing for me right now is like you know, I've had my my Ritalin suspended for the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that was applicable from like August, but anyway, yeah, I just find that like I'm aware of like, you know, how I function and why exactly I don't kind of fit into the mold of other people,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, behaviorally. But what was I talking about? Jesus Christ.
You were saying, like, is it a relief? Yeah.
Sorry, it just kind of.
No, you had a blank. It's fine. I do that all the time.
Blank will get
Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, yeah, no, it's better in the sense that it kind of prevents me from the whole just falling into the trap of you're lazy,
You're worthless.
that whole kind of anxiety hole, I suppose, where you catastrophize not getting something done and just coming to the conclusion that you're just a useless human being. Yeah, like it's good in the sense that like it's an explanation for my behavior, basically.
Yeah. And you know, like now you can say, okay, some of those behaviors that I displayed were not me being a bad child. That was my ADHD. Like I was reading some of my old journals pre-diagnosis when I was like, you know, in primary school and before I was diagnosed in like year 7. And so much of my diary was like these unknown ramblings of being like, there's something wrong with me. Why am I like this? Am I just dumb, or do I have an illness that makes me so dumb? And I would write such weird, impulsive things, and I would do things like I'd read in my diary, today I spoke back to a teacher and I don't know why I did that. And now that I'm diagnosed, I look back at my diary and I'm like, oh my God, like you were so ADHD, Lucy. Like you were such, but I remember writing in that diary being so like confused, thinking I had this unknown illness. Like I thought, I'm not like the kid in my class.
Be named after you.
Like I literally thought that, like, because I had a boy in my class who was autistic, and I thought, I'm not autistic. I'm not like that. I wasn't like the dyslexic kid. I thought I had some undiagnosed illness. I really thought I was special. I thought I was this quirky special. I am special. But I really thought that, and there was no language for me. Like I couldn't even use words like I can't focus. It was just, there's something wrong with me. And I think if I had not been diagnosed, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know if I would be in a necessarily risk-taking behavior, but I think I'd be an absolute disaster. I'd be an absolute mess.
Me.
No, I wouldn't be you. You're not. I would be.
I shouldn't say that on the podcast.
No, but I would just be like.
Still in good humor, folks.
It would just be really disastrous. That is the end of part 1 of my amazing conversation with Jasmine. Part 2 will be out shortly, so please stay tuned. In the meantime, do not forget to follow me on Spotify, Amazon, Google, and Apple Podcasts, as well as on Instagram and Facebook at The Lucy Pod. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you later.